So, good evening, guys, and welcome back to our TG podcast. Of course, it's that time again. Every Monday, we talk everything. We recap everything going on with Arsenal. Got a lot to discuss today, people. A lot to discuss. Right now, it's only me and Rory, though. Nobody seems to care. No, I'm joking. Everyone's just, I don't know what everyone's doing tonight. Maybe it's due to this weather out there. I mean, for once, the weather is banning in England, to be fair. So, mate, I don't know, but the point is, it's me and Rory. Like we're just gonna run it. I'm sure I've sent everyone a link so that at one time they could all come. Because we was meant to have about 3-4 guests today on the panel, but only me and Rory had turned up. So we're gonna run it. Nevertheless, people, we got a lot to talk through. We're talking transfers as always. Talking about some news about Gyökeres that came through again. That's been going around in the recent days. We're talking Zubimendi. We're talking Partey new contracts, and then we're talking, of course, overall about Arsenal performance on the pitch as well. But yeah, Rory, how you doing, bro? How you been keeping?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Arteta heated debate, to be fair. Oh, wait, no one's turned up. At least Odegaard isn't the only one that hasn't turned up. So, yeah.
Honestly, we have some good guests lined up tonight. Yeah, this is gonna be a proper heat. That's why I put it in the title. I've changed the title now, people. It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
They
But
could still turn up, to be fair.
you never know. You never know at the end of the day. But big up the chat. Just quickly before we do start, big up everyone. Make sure if you guys are tuning in, you do smash the like buttons up. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. I think the only one who's going to turn up, by the way, is probably Dom. Yeah, big up to Dom if he's watching this on playback and he sees that we're disrespecting. No, Dom's at football basically, guys. He's a baller at the end of the day. We could do with him in our team right now, probably in the midfield. Now Rice is injured as well. But yeah. Big up to Drew in the chat. Man said, George, you changed the times more than your socks. Yeah, guys, this is meant to be 8:30. It's all over the place at the moment, people. But we're here nevertheless. And big up everyone as always tuning in today. Big up Drew, my brother. Tamina is in the building as always. Julie's with us. Big up to you, Julie, every single time. Hope you're all well, Julie. Top Gunner's with us every single time as well. Good to see you, Top Gunner, bro. Justin, appreciate you, my friend. I think he's talking about the intro there. Thank you very much for that, brother. Really do appreciate that as well. Paul's in the building. Big up to you, Paul. Hope you're all good, bro. We got Jack with us as well. And we also got Mohammed. Yeah, the new kit's actually coming on Sunday, of course. As always, usually we do every last home game of the season is where we release the new home kit. And do you know what? If I can get a picture right now, why not? Actually, I can't be asked to talk about kits right now. I can't even. I can't even be asked. Let's do that towards the end. We need to get down to business, people. Yeah, we need to get down to business because first things first. I'm gonna go. Let's talk about. Let's do Gyökeres. A lot of talk about Gyökeres coming out in the recent days. Of course, we'll talk about Zubimendi in a minute, guys. But with Viktor Gyokeres, because a lot of news have been coming out about this sort of situation, and he's going to be our next signing. Now, listen, the window's not even opened yet, and it's how much talk we're getting. So this guy called Pablo Oliveira, right? If you guys don't know him, this guy apparently, this is what people were saying on Twitter, that he broke the news about Zubimendi before Fabrizio did, apparently. I don't know how true it is, but if he did, then this guy seems to be reasonably...
I swear it was Sammy Mockbell, was it not?
Was it Sammy Mockbell?
Yeah, it was Sammy Mockbell.
A lot of people were saying this guy as well. If it is the case, then fair play to him, and we'll see how reliable this is. But there's a few reports in Portugal saying that Arsenal are going to move to United for 80 million euros, which is I don't know how much that is in terms of the conversion rate. I don't know if you know, Rory. 80 million euros, probably about 75 or maybe 73 million.
I put 63 in the title. 73.
73. We know he's got that release clause as well, don't we, of 100 million. But at the same time, I think he has like a gentleman's agreement that he can leave, and he will leave for less than that. But yeah, this also another journalist called Sebastian Vidal has also confirmed that Arsenal's put in a close to an agreement for the striker. But really likes Gyökeres. Meanwhile, priority targets number 99 possible, and Gyökeres is the ideal option apparently for Arsenal at the moment. The summer 2025 will open 2 rounds, with the first round from 1 to 6 10 to 6, then we'll close, of course, the Club World Cup, as we know. And then after Zubimendi, Coach Arteta wants to complete the process of adding key positions. Let's see how Andre Alberto will do in the first transfer window at Arsenal. So, yeah, man. Gyökeres to Arsenal. This guy, we know Alberto really likes him, Rory. But
Yeah.
what are you saying about this, bro? You know, I know we spoke about him in the recent sort of months building up to this, that we've been linked with him. But for me, he's the guy. He's the guy you got to go and get now. He should be, of course, we got Zubimendi early, but now we're looking at Gyökeres. But what do you think about this deal, bro?
Yeah, so look, Gyökeres, I've always said for about a year now that I reckon he is the killer that we desperately need, 100%. If it's not Isak, it's Gyökeres. And I think I've brought that up about 7 or 8 times already, that if it isn't Isak, it's got to be Gyökeres. Like, that is genuinely the only striker I would have over Gyökeres right now. Although, when you're deeper, I think Gyökeres is probably more suited to Arteta, like what he wants to do, than an Isak, because he can sort of alter between the wingers, if you know what I mean, in games.
Yeah.
Because he was a left winger, don't forget that, back in Coventry, if I'm not mistaken. And I think
was he? Wait, he was a winner?
Yeah, he was a winger.
I actually never knew that. Jesus.
Yeah, he was a winger. And when you do watch Gyökeres throughout his time at Sporting, he still is at Sporting, but so far this season, I do see him out on the left flank a lot. And I think that could be beneficial because Arteta always shifts Havertz out to the right, pretty much holding hands with Saka, Waneri, whoever's playing on the right hand side. So Gyökeres will fit the bill perfectly, in my opinion, especially when you've got Martinelli, who is capable to play up front, and if you have them two exchanging in game, it could cause a lot of problems next season. The only thing with Gyökeres, right, is he needs service. Because one thing I've noticed with the Liverpool game the weekend, I don't know if you clocked this, but Martinelli made a darting run through the middle when Odegaard
took too many touches or something, right?
Yeah. And then he played it to Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
So we need to be playing more on the front foot. None of this, conservative bullshit. We need to be playing on the front foot more next season if we want a striker like that. So this is huge. Like, we need a striker. Well, it's been evident for ages, pretty much. We've needed a striker for 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years. I mean, since Aubameyang left, we've not had that killer. And I reckon 60, 70 million, if we can get that done around that price, then it's an absolute bargain for me, the best striker in Europe this season by far. And he could get us over the line. He could. Forget the manager for a second, because I know we'll get onto him later on, but I think that striker, the way we want to play, if we were going to play this kamikaze style of football, then I don't think a Gyökeres would have suited that style of play. But now we are playing this pragmatic approach where we're relying on set pieces. Like, we're forgetting Gyökeres is a bully. He's like 6'3",
absolute tank. Yeah,
he's an absolute tank, and he can get on the end of some of the chances we've been creating. I mean, that opportunity against Liverpool in the first half where Partey won the ball back.
That is embarrassing.
I know. If that's Gyökeres, he's twatting that.
Yeah.
He's twatting that top bins.
Yeah.
Partey would have gone in with it.
Yeah.
Thomas Partey would have gone in with it. So, look, these are the situations where we are getting chances on transition, but we're not finishing them. And that's the frustrating thing. Mourinho's tried his best, but he's not a striker. And this could be a game changer. And if we can get him done before pre-season as well, that could be massive, because he'll have time to sort of adapt. And what I like from Andrea Berta as well so far is his willingness
Yeah, he ain't messing
to.
around, is he, bro?
Yeah, he ain't messing around. We've obviously got Zubimendi over the line already, and now we're looking likely we're going to get Gyökeres, and I think we will.
Yeah.
If this was
Yeah.
Edu and A2, then
No.
yeah, there's not a chance. But with Berta, I have that optimism that we will get this deal over the line. But yeah, as I said, if we could get him before pre-season, like that could be huge. It really could be huge. And I did see something back onto Berta's ruthlessness, right?
Yeah.
I heard something that Arteta wanted to prioritise John Garcia, the
But Berta don't
Espanyol
want him.
goalkeeper, but Berta wanted to allocate his funds elsewhere before he then eventually.
Play,
I mean, we've been screaming for this for ages. Someone to come in and have a more powerful voice than Mikel Arteta does. Someone who can actually say no, who has bollocks for crying out loud. And that's something we've been missing in the boardroom for ages. So if we get Gyökeres over the line, as well as obviously Zubimendi is going to get done at the end of the season, then it's a positive start to the window. But obviously we still need more than that. Right? It's all well and good signing Gyökeres, but you've got to strengthen in other positions as well. Right? We need at least 2 midfielders, maybe 3 actually. Actually, I keep forgetting about Zubimendi, aren't I? 2 midfielders, I'd say.
Yeah.
Right? Perhaps a box-to-box midfielder if Thomas Partey is leaving. You've got Zubimendi to replace Jorginho, and then perhaps a 10 if you're not going to trust Waneri, so he can compete with Odegaard. And then once you've got all of them positions sort of addressed, that's when you focus on the defence. Bring in your 8th left back if you want to. Then you go for your goalkeeper, a centre back. That's when you prioritise your defence. But you always have to prioritise your attack first before you eventually prioritise your defence, because it just doesn't make any sense otherwise. Because who does that? Who prioritises their defence before they eventually move on to their attack?
Facts.
So, yeah, this is a huge deal, and it could be a game changer. Teams will actually start fearing us next season.
Oh, for sure.
That's if we do play the correct way and we actually play to his strengths.
Yeah.
So it's a big if, but I'm confident with the amount of chances we create, he will get on the end of a lot of them chances. So, look, as you know, I've wanted him for a year now.
Yeah.
So, and this season he's proved it in Europe before anyone starts.
It's only the Portuguese league people told me.
Portuguese league. I cannot believe most Arsenal fans, not most of them, but you know what I mean? Some like sections of the fan base are turning their nose up against Gyökeres. Oh, the best striker in Europe, the Swedish Danny Ings. Are you fucking
What?
Are you fucking tat? That's what I actually heard on Twitter, by the way.
Swedish Danny Ings.
I know, it's crazy. But yeah, look, obviously just put it out there, Isak is my number 1 priority, but Gyökeres, definitely. If we can't get Gyökeres, then it's Victor Osimhen. If it's not Osimhen, I'd say it's probably Jonathan David, someone like that. You always come with a plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, plan F, if that's even a thing. But, I think Gyökeres coming in would be almost like how I felt when Aubameyang signed.
That similar signing.
Yeah, but at the same time, I didn't feel like as excited as most Arsenal fans at the time. And I'll tell you why. Because we already had Lacazette at the time.
Yes.
And our defence was shoddy. It was embarrassing to watch.
Yeah.
So I was kind of disappointed because, like, where does Lacazette go? Does he, get sold, whatever? When, we needed a defensive midfielder at the time and we needed centre-backs. Now we've got that, and now we're sort of... It's pretty much vice versa, it feels like. So it's frustrating, but look, if it comes this year, we sign that big number 9. If we don't sign a number 9, then it's
Nah.
suicide.
No,
it is suicidal. Everyone needs to be sacked on the spot if we do not get a number 9. Even if it's Cesco, right? Just get a flipping number 9 in, because I cannot settle with another midfielder starting up front. But you know what? I've got this horrible sense that Arteta is going to try and accommodate Havertz into this team if we're going to sign Gyökeres. He'll play Gyökeres on the left and then Havertz through the middle.
Because he did that with Bamian, though, didn't he? He did it with Bamian, Arteta.
Yeah. It's exactly what I think he's going to do. Emery did it a couple of times, in all fairness. But
yeah, he did.
Yeah, and because he used to be a winger as well. I don't know. But look, for me, next season, it would be Saka on the right. And speaking of Saka as well, like, it would sort of relieve any sort of pressure, because he has the pressure to deliver every single week despite getting tripled on every single. So not only got Saka to worry about, you would have had Gyökeres to worry about as well.
Exactly.
So this could be a game changer, as I've said about 3 or 4 times already. We need that bagsman up front that can, relieve that pressure off Saka to deliver every single week. Because since he's come back from injury, I see him missing a couple of opportunities, and when he's not clinical, we have no one else who's clinical, who's, game changing to come off the bench, starting games. Just no one. So, again, like, I would love Gyökeres, and obviously when Man City signed Haaland back in, I swear it was before the season finished, when they won the league, if I'm not mistaken. They signed him, they ended up winning the treble the following season, right? Berta has a tendency of bringing in strikers with the likes of David Villa, Luis Suarez, and they've gone on to win the league. So, like, this is why a striker is vital. We have to get that over the line early doors in the summer window. That is a must. We can't leave it until deadline day.
100%.
Although I get that these sort of transfers are hard to get done, but I swear he does have a release clause of like 70, 75 million, something like that. I don't think he's actually 100 million. So he would be perfect, in my opinion. I think both Isak and Gyökeres will be perfect. I wouldn't mind a backup striker coming in, to be fair, in all fairness.
Yeah.
So perhaps someone like Delap at Ipswich, who's like, I don't know, 30 million as a backup potentially.
Backup, yeah, that's a shout.
So decent. I don't know.
Don, welcome, my friend. How was footy? Did you win?
Yeah, 1-0. 1-0.
Good performance, mate. Love that. I knew you'd win.
I'm still red in the face. Mate, that was hard work. We missed a hat full of chances. It was like watching Arsenal.
Are you bleeding again?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's been in the wars again.
I'm not sure it was a pullback that, wasn't as bad as I made it out to be, to win a free kick, to waste a bit of time, or whether it was the clearance in the 6-yard box in the last second, which resulted in the striker's shot banging straight into my knee. I mean, it wasn't a foul. He went to shoot and I got to the ball first and he kicked my knee. But
another clean sheet, though.
Another clean sheet, mate. Another clean sheet.
Love that.
But yeah, okay, we only had one save to make, so can't really complain.
By the way, Dom, can you play midfield for us?
Absolutely no chance, mate. I'm not fit enough for that. No way. I went forward at one point and I sprinted back, and I swear to God, I have never been more glad to hear the full-time whistle 30 seconds later. I got forward, went, what the f am I doing here? Ran all the way back, cleared the ball, and then the whistle went. I went, thanks for that. Took me about 5 minutes to get off the pitch. I'm 40. I can't be running with all these 20-year-olds.
Oh, man. But, Don, we've just been talking about Gyökeres, but me and Rory sort of spoke about Liverpool yesterday. I want to get your thoughts on that quick game. I know first half, I was thinking it's going to be a field day, 2-0 down, awful start. But second half, we actually picked it up and could have really run, couldn't we? With that Odegaard chance towards the end. On the flip side of that, Liverpool had that Robertson goal, which obviously, luckily, Konate got the foul on Skelly, and they had a few shots as well, which went wide. But what was your overall thoughts on that game, just quickly, Don, bro?
Fairly similar to you, Josh. I mean, Arsenal could have taken the lead through Saka, but I thought Liverpool probably deservedly led. I heard someone describe it today as unprofessional for that sort of 5 minutes or so period, and I think that's probably the right word. You know, normally we're so defensively solid, and I think we completely switched off. I think some of it probably Ben White's lacking match fitness, match sharpness, but Kivior and Saliba were a bit too far apart, I thought, for both goals, to be fair, and I think that's on both of them. Maybe it's a chemistry thing, but Liverpool deserved to lead. But as you say, you know, the reaction was spot on from Arsenal second half, and they did what I've sort of been critical of Arsenal for not doing enough this season. It's my main criticism of Arteta this season is we've not attacked with enough speed and purpose, and when we did that, we caused Liverpool problems. Good to see Odegaard, you know, starting to trust his shooting more. We saw it against Paris. You know, I think that's been he seemed to have lost confidence a bit this season. I think that's sort of been you know, part of the issues he's had this season. You know, maybe it's because he lost form and then he lost confidence. I don't know, but you know, the fact he's shooting coming back suggests his confidence is coming back, and that's a good thing. But yeah, I think draw was a fair result. I mean, the goal at the end was rightly ruled out. That was a foul on
Skelly
by Konate.
Blatant.
You know, I think the only thing I'd sort of criticise Arsenal for in that game was Arteta not taking Mourinho off earlier. I thought the red card was pure tiredness. That was a tired tackle.
Yeah.
I mean,
barely stand up, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Mourinho shouldn't have done it, but that was a tired tackle. You know, but overall, fair result. I mean, we've got to get something against Newcastle, and I'm worried about the injuries for that one, but we might come on to that later.
Definitely.
Luke is doing his best impression of Nicholas Jova.
What? No, you can't. Oh my god. Luke, are you there? Luke, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, do you want me to run far post or near post, mate, on the corner?
How's it going, Luca, mate? Where are you, by the way? It's like you're in a hotel or something.
I'm in a hotel, man. Stupid bloody IBS hotels, man. The laptop don't even work, so I'm gonna have to go live on my phone.
What are you doing in a hotel? I thought he was in a hotel tonight. This guy goes out and about, mate. This guy goes out and about everywhere. Jesus. But Luca, what bro? He's bro.
Man.
Is it? He's not me, is it, guys?
No, I can't.
No, it's not you. It's
I was gonna say
he's fuzzier than me after 10 beers.
Is it a connection? Is it a connection?
Yeah,
no, you're fine now.
The connection.
You're fine now, Luca.
Oh, that's good, man.
Yeah, but Luca, what's your thoughts on the 2-2 quickly, Liverpool?
For me, I think it was a bit of a strange game yesterday. I think it was a battle of both halves. I think the first half for me, Liverpool were 2-0 up, 5 again from 2008, because Liverpool scoring 2 goals within like a couple of minutes, like 87, 89 seconds. I'm kind of feel like thinking, right, okay, so why we're 2-0 down at Anfield? Right, here we go again. This is Arsenal going to get slapped 4-5-0 again, right? Like back in the day under Unai Emery and that. And then majority, I look at the first goal. I know Odegaard played well yesterday, but what was he doing ball watching on the first goal with Cody Gakpo's header? And then the second goal from Ben White.
Hold on. Was that more Saka not tracking back on the throw-in?
Well, I think it was Odegaard, in my opinion.
No, it wasn't. Odegaard wasn't even there.
I thought it was more Saka because he had Robertson.
No, it was Ben White and Saliba, definitely.
But Ben White was on the second goal. Ben White was the second goal from Lewis.
It wasn't Odegaard.
The throw-in that they did.
He had the throw-in, of course, and then it led up to the cross, and then literally they were just ball watching, and I'm thinking, how can we go 2-0 down? And I'm thinking, right, okay, I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck's going on? And then majority, we could have been, is this another 5-1 showdown again? And then for some reason, second half, we were the better team. I don't know what Mikel Arteta was saying at half time. It's like
Probably
he's probably
similar
saying,
to what he
right,
said after the game, Luca.
yeah. And you know what really frustrates me, right? Why did we not play like this in the biggest game of the season against PSG? You know why? You know why? Because no pressure FC. This is what happens to Arsenal. Arsenal, when they're not out of all the cups, they'll play well, they'll have a bit of pride, and we always do well towards the end of the season. This only cares about for money. So therefore, half
Maximal's Wi-Fi.
I thought he played really well. I think well. Martinelli for me in gone. The
No, you're
Wi-Fi's
good.
gone. The Wi-Fi's gone.
No, you're
It's just the
Serious?
audio.
Is this the audio? You're good. You're good.
It's
Keep going.
the
Sorry.
audio that's making me chuckle, you know.
I was about to say anyway. Sorry, no. Martinelli for me, I think he was man of the match. It was a great make it 2-1, and then Mikel Moreno pulled it back to 2-2. I think it was a good second half performance by Arsenal, and we could have won it at the end, and they could have won it at the end as well if it wasn't for that foul from Konate to Skelly. And look, for me, I kind of feel like, why is it every time at Anfield we always get them on the counter attack? Like the 2022-2023 season, Saka squares it to Martinelli. Why didn't Odegaard not square it to Zinchenko, and that could have gone in the back of the net, and we could have won that game 3-2 at the end? Why is it every time these little margins at Anfield, right, we always do this on the counter-attack and rush the ball at Anfield? This is why we've not won at Anfield for a very, very long time.
The thing is, right, if he didn't shoot, then we would have been complaining, like, oh, why didn't Odegaard shoot that? I think he was right to shoot, but he should have done better with the finish. I don't think he should have played it to Zinchenko, to be honest.
But the opportunity was there to pass it to Zinchenko, because Zinchenko would have filled.
He
And then we
most
would have
definitely
ended up
wouldn't
30.
put us- he would not put us.
Yeah, but you don't know where the ball could have gone. I reckon Zinchenko would have scored that. I reckon Zinchenko would have scored that. And then the ball could have...
Come on, Luke.
You don't reckon?
No, he wouldn't. Like,
Or either way, Odegaard.
yeah, I agree with you. Should
Instead
have
of taking that long.
But like, he was definitely the right to shoot from there. Because if he didn't shoot, then we would have been.
Yeah, it's a second yellow, wasn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time,
No,
right,
it's the second
I
yellow.
think I think Ryan had a really, really good game, made some brilliant saves. But that's two games in a row now where he has played the ball into players where they're getting pressured in the wrong areas. And I'm like, well, please stop putting these players into trouble. Especially when Marino just didn't. It's pretty clear he did not want the ball in that position when his back is to goal.
I
And
thought he
straight
showed
away,
the
the moment he
But
received
Mikel Moreno-
it, I knew he was going to lose the ball, and he was going to do something silly. I just knew it.
I think Mikel
So-
Moreno was poor yesterday. I thought he had an awful game. And I do think the second goal should have been offside. But obviously I'm not going to complain because we got something out of the game. I think the second goal was offside. In my
It was
opinion.
a foul.
It looked like it was offside.
Yeah,
I think it was offside.
actually-
I think
No, it was a foul on Lewis Skelly, which was a blatant foul, by the way.
and then Odegaard goes and takes a shot and then Moreno rebounds and makes it 2-2. I thought it was definitely offside because of the rebound shot and Moreno got in the box.
Yeah, definitely. But we were just talking about Gyökeres. I'll come to Dom. So these reports in Portugal were saying that this guy apparently there's a report from Portugal a few days ago, but that got deaded by a few like over here in the UK saying that weren't true. And then this other guys came out today and said Apparently, and he got the Zubimendi one before Fabrizio did or something like that. It's what they're saying. But he said that we're close to reaching agreement with Gyökeres. I know, you got to take these with a pinch of salt, Dom, but
You
if-
saw my message.
I saw your message. Yeah. But yeah, obviously, I do. Even if it's not, happening yet, I do expect us to go for someone like Gyökeres anyway. So,
Yeah.
for you, for this around this sort of price tag as well, is this, the correct deal that we should be going with? In your opinion, is this the main guy we should go for?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we take back to last summer, I was all in on Viktor Gyökeres then, but I understand why not just Arsenal but other teams didn't pull the trigger on him because he had one good season in Portugal. But I think he's undoubtedly put those sort of things to bed. I think there's a couple of things I like about Gyökeres. I mean, one, 80 million euros, what, 65 million pounds for a striker of his caliber. It is a good deal. I don't think Arsenal will trigger the release clause. I think they will negotiate, even if they pay a bit more to stagger the payments. That seems to be what they're doing with Zubimendi as well. And I think that is sensible because that allows us more fluidity in the market. The other things I like about Gyökeres beyond his sort of, overall ability, and I'm going to sort of talk about an element of this, is that I think he can sort of drift wide as well. And particularly prefers to drift into that left-hand channel. And Rory was, rightly talking about how he'd wanted Martinelli through the middle, sort of in our group chat on Sunday.
Yeah.
And my view is I like Martinelli on the left, but what I want to see him doing is interchanging into the middle more. I thought in recent weeks when Trossard's been up front, I like the fact that they sort of rotate between the two. I think that causes more issues for the defender and a bit of fluidity. And I like the fact that Gyökeres can do that on top of everything else he's capable of. So for me, Viktor Gyökeres, I think he ticks all the boxes. Obviously, Isak is the one we all want, but let's be honest, that's not going to happen. It's going to be fiendishly expensive, and I can't see why I'd leave Newcastle. But I'm a big fan of Gyökeres. I think the reason I take these reports slightly with a pinch of salt is not that Arsenal are interested, not that Arsenal are stepping up negotiation, particularly with Zubimendi, all as close as it can be until they can sort of finalise a deal with Real Sociedad at the end of the season, is that Arsenal are in a position where striker's going to be their number one target. Viktor Gyökeres high on Berta's list, high on Arteta's list, along with Cesco. And I just think this is the one they're going to pursue now. I'm just not quite convinced that we're at the point where this deal is, done and dusted, which I know is not quite what the Portuguese journalists are saying, but they're suggesting I think it's probably closer than a lot of the English journalists are saying.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, history tends to suggest that the English journalists are closer to where it's at than the Portuguese. But I think this is edging closer to being done. I think Arsenal probably in the hot seat here. And I'm not at all worried about Manchester United being linked because, despite the fact he's with his former manager.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you guys. Like, could that have played the effect going back to, because he worked so well with him at Sporting?
I don't think so. If you're Viktor Gyökeres, you're what, 27, 26, 27?
Yeah.
Manchester United are going to have to do what Arsenal have done in recent years. They're going to have to spend 3-4 years at least building that side. They've almost got to gut the side and rebuild it, and Viktor Gyökeres by that point is 30, 31, if they get it right with no issues. Before he goes into Arsenal now, Arsenal, despite how disappointing the season has been, is, are ready to win things. And I think that's more attractive. But what I think is really good this year is we've gone back to getting deals done early, which is was really sort of something that Edu did really well, apart from last summer, which I've always said was just a really odd transfer window, like for everyone, like particularly the top teams.
But Edu did that. Sorry to interrupt, but Edu got some. But Edu got some deals done early this season when we almost won the league in the 23-24 season.
What I
was. We got Kai Havertz second right.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But also,
sorry, Luca, that's what I was referring to. Was those couple of it was last year was the abnormality, but I thought last summer's window for everyone was a bit odd. It just was a market that didn't really happen. But yeah, you're exactly right. That's what I was alluding to, Luca. Those early deals.
Yeah, because the thing is, right, like if you go back to last summer, right, Edu for me done absolutely crap, right? We sat there throughout the whole transfer window and end up waiting for Raheem Sterling. It took 3 weeks to get Mikel Moreno in, right? And then we bought an injured-prone Calafiori, who is not a left-back, he's a centre-back. And majority, now Berta, right, is hopefully, touch wood, he gets Gyökeres done. Like, I think Gyökeres will come to Arsenal. I do think he will come. Even if Man United win the Europa League, I don't see Gyökeres will fit well at Man United because I feel like United have got players where they need to get rid of. And I know people might say that might not have anything relevant because of positions, but I kind of feel like Gyökeres will come to Arsenal. I really do, because Bert's a really massive suggester, and I kind of feel like Gyökeres would fit at Arsenal. And I do think if we do get him, we've actually got the perfect profile striker, which will come to Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also, another thing I wanted to point out as well.
No, go on.
Apologies for interrupting, but I was going to say, like, Berta has this pull, doesn't he? In transfer windows, as we've seen with Atletico Madrid. So that gives me confidence that he will be able to pull off this transfer ahead of Man United, because I believe when they signed João Felix for 120 odd million, Barcelona, Real Madrid were all interested in Felix. I think, in fact, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure there were more teams than just Real Madrid and Barcelona who were interested in Felix, but managed to get him through the door. And I know it didn't work out at Atletico Madrid, but still, like, that's a marquee signing for them. So it does fill me with confidence that Berta will be able to get this deal over the line ahead of Man United. And obviously, yes, Man United win more than us now, but you would be stupid to reject Arsenal instead of Man United. The reason why I say that is because he knows that he's pretty much the final piece for Arsenal, pretty much. Not
Exactly.
Although we still do need a couple more positions here and there, and a lot more, to be fair. But he will know that he's detrimental to this Arsenal team pretty much, because we've been desperate for a striker for years. He'll know that. Whereas Man United need an entire rebuild, regardless if they win the Europa League or not. They're going to need the rebuild.
Fundamental, not detrimental.
Well, yeah, fundamental, detrimental.
Detrimental means he's going to harm the team. Sorry, I assume you mean he's going to help the team.
Sorry, did I say detrimental?
Yeah.
I meant fundamental.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I assumed you didn't mean that.
I was supposed to say fundamental. Jesus Christ.
No, you're facts. We got a question here from Lloyd. Big up to Lloyd as well. Question to the panel: did anyone see how Odegaard came to life as soon as Martinelli moved more centrally? The through balls he played to running Martinelli. This is what including Rory said it earlier. I think Dom, in the group chat, what we were saying about giving this guy. I've been saying it in previews. Give his play Martinelli more centrally now. And I'm happy Arteta adapt that in the second half. He obviously got the goal back. He was in the box with a header.
Yeah, but Martinelli.
Oh, he obviously got the goal back, and he had another chance. I think when he was from a corner, which if he got enough power in it, that goes in. He gets a brace on me. And Rory said it. I think made a point earlier about Odegaard had the ball at one stage, and Martinelli made the run. And there's a clip going around where Martinelli was like screaming for the ball. He's through on goal. One pass.
Yeah, but do you think Martinelli can be in that position what he was when he played up front in that 2-2 draw against Chelsea just before the COVID?
When we first signed him, didn't we, Luca? We played him there.
Well, yeah. Do you feel like the last two games, try something new, like put him up front?
Because we haven't got Marino anyway, do we?
Yeah,
that
Marino's
could work.
so.
Could that work? Could that work if before we end up getting a striker?
I think so. I think Martinelli's been underwhelming on the win this season. I think he's had a handful of games where he's been all right, but majority he's been very inconsistent. But what I saw of him yesterday.
But if we're gonna buy a new winger,
yeah, go on. No,
go on. If we're gonna buy a new winger, why don't we not have Martinelli as a Plan B striker and then buy Gyökeres?
The thing is, right,
then get rid of Gabriel Jesus.
The thing is, there's not many left wingers, to be honest. I mean, most that are available on the market have similar statistics than Martinelli this season, to be honest. They're no better. And I know stats aren't everything. Bingo. That's why I said perhaps Gittins would be one of my choices, because on the eye, he's direct, and he has, well, when it comes to end products, he tends to finish a lot of his chances. Yes, he might be raw on that, but if you've got Gyökeres and Saka to learn off, as well as Martinelli as a competition, then he could be a better player. So this, when you look at it, it's the left wing market isn't great. Obviously, I wanted Kvaratskhelia in January. That didn't happen. So he's not available. Rodrigo's a shout, but you take that risk of Real Madrid then asking for Saliba. You
Top
can't
deal, yeah.
yeah, you can't expect Arsenal to go in for Rodrigo without them asking for Saliba as well. So that's the risk that you're taking with that deal, especially if you're paying over 100 million for him. So you're practically giving them funds to afford the deal. So that's a risk. Although Rodrigo would, I mean, I'd take Rodrigo in a heartbeat. And if we are a serious club, it would
Go
be
for him, yeah.
it would be Saliba, new deal, and then Rodrigo on top of that. So I don't know about Rodrigo. I was hearing that he wasn't on the bench the other day against Barcelona.
No, but
Or was he on the bench, or he just didn't come
he
on?
didn't get any minutes, but at the same time they're getting Alonso, and Alonso may want to keep him. You don't know if he's in his plans.
Yeah, so I don't see it happening. But the rest of them, Leao, you know my thoughts on Leao. I think he is mad overhyped, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's been linked with Chelsea today.
Yeah.
And was I worried? Nah.
Nah, I mean, the
It's
thing
where
is,
wingers
right?
go.
He's
Chelsea's where wingers go to die, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, true. But the thing about Leao is he's in like a balanced system, isn't he? Right? You look at that left hand side. They've got Theo Hernandez, Reinders, and then Leao. Whereas he's coming into an Arsenal team where that left hand side has been a problem for almost 2 years now. So I don't think he would kick on in the Premier League, to be honest.
I mean,
because he's just not being consistent.
I think so either. I'm not worried about Leao. I mean, he might go and prove me wrong now. I think the thing with Martinelli is, I like Martinelli on the left. I really do, and I think to tell you his stats this year is 8 goals, 4 assists in a and you can wipe out the first 3 months where he was just absolutely shorn of confidence. I know you can't wipe it out, but I'm just saying, that's where he was awful. He's been significantly better since then. But what I want to see is that interchange. But I think what Arsenal's attack needs to be is it needs to be a horses for courses type selection. You're playing the low block type team. You probably do want that physical presence up there to hold the ball and move the players in, because Martinelli sort of thrives against teams like Liverpool where that high line is going to be. We were talking, I mean, just go back to August. I remember Rory and I and Josh talking about what we do with Martinelli, because he was so poor in those first few games. And, someone said, drop, if he's not picked up any form by the time we play Spurs, drop Martinelli. And my point was, you don't drop Martinelli for that game. That's a perfect Martinelli game, because Tottenham's high line is so high. He's got all that space. He struggles against the low block more. So I think that's sort of where you want those options. And, I agree entirely with Rory here about whether it's Gittins or Williams or someone else, you want that direct runner that will run at players as well. It gives you something different. You also want a Trossard type player that can sort of operate sort of in those tight spaces, like Saka can on the other side, or Waneri. You just want those different options so that you're not one-dimensional. And I think Arsenal's attack this season has been a little bit too one-dimensional. I actually think it comes further back. I really want to sort of see, I'm happy with Rice sort of in the 8. And Zubimendi, I think, will add more sort of line-breaking passes. I think, sort of like Thomas Partey was a year or two ago, which we haven't seen so much of this season. That might help with creativity, to be fair, because I think Partey's those passes from Partey, good as he's been this season, dropped off this year, and I think that's not helped us creativity-wise. But to have an option that can change that midfield dynamic is going to be really important. But that goes to the wing as well, and that's where Rory's right on the profile. But for me, Martinelli being able to either play 9 or left wing, and ideally interchange. I was talking earlier with Gyökeres, but if Gyökeres is your 9, he can drift out to the left. Martinelli cuts inside, and that confuses the defenders a bit, like Havertz and Saka do at times on that right, where Havertz will drift out and Saka will sort of drift inside, or Odegaard will go through that middle. I mean, less so Odegaard because it's not the way he plays, but you know what I mean. It's the same on the left, and that's what's missing, is that balance. It's why our left side looks such a problem, because we're so right side focused.
Yeah, I mean, Dom, you obviously brought up Trossard. There has been talk about a new contract for him, like a long-term contract, in fact.
Yeah,
Not
take him to like 32, 33.
Yeah, 34. And although if he's there for like, I don't know, stopgaps, I don't know, he's just there in the squad. I don't mind, but if he's going to sign a new contract and we're keeping Martinelli, then it's pretty much further proof that we're not going to be signing a left winger this summer. Or it could be a case of us selling Martinelli this summer because there's been talk about Saudi lurking around, and then we sign a left
Yeah, but
winger.
if big money comes in for Martinelli, then maybe yes, you would sell him. But I would not give Trossard, right,
No,
another
I wouldn't as
contract.
well.
I would not give him another
Yeah,
contract.
I would still sell Trossard in the summer because I just think he looks disinterested, to be honest. He had a decent second half, to be fair, against Liverpool when he moved over to the left, and I guess he does bring that versatility. And I've always been a fan of Trossard. He's served his purpose, but he's getting up to an age where I don't think he's going to get any better. Whereas Martinelli's like 23, 24, so he can get better over time. Whereas, Trossard, I mean, when he's up front, I mean, God, it's a waste of time. Whereas Martinelli, when you play him up front, like you can play across the whole front three. I know he's not particularly that great on the right, and he's lately he's been not great on the left either. But still, you have him as the backup for competition, and in terms of his output this season, it's not been as bad as you think in comparison to many other players that we want this summer. So, quite frankly, we just need competition in that area. We don't need any upgrades because I don't feel like there are any upgrades for Martinelli on the market other than Rodrigo. But as I said earlier, you're taking that risk with, Real Madrid lurking for Saliba.
I think the thing as well with Rodrigo is he plays mostly on the right. He can
Yeah.
play on the left, but I mean,
Well, he
I
plays
think
better on the left though.
yeah, maybe. But I think the thing with me on that sort of left side, I wouldn't give Trossard a new deal either.
Ah.
I think on the disinterested thing, I just think he just looks disinterested, a bit like Ozil did at times, right? I think it's just I think it's just the way he is. I think there's looking disinterested and being disinterested. I think there can be a difference. I think he's just a sulky little bugger, to be honest. But he, I wouldn't give him a new deal. What I would do, I mean, what I would have done in the summer, as I've said before, is, and it's not going to happen by the looks of things, is I'd have gone, do you know what, Trossard, off you go. Let's take the 25, 30 million if we can get it, and bring in David on a free of 25, 30 million up. And I think it's a like-for-like replacement. But, obviously it looks like David wants to go elsewhere, and he can probably go somewhere and start, whereas he'd be a squad player at Arsenal. And again, it's why this pay the money and the player comes isn't as simple as that, because sometimes players would rather go to a lesser club and play, or somewhere else suits their family, or there's lots of factors. So it doesn't look like that's going to happen, which maybe facilitates the Trossard contract. I don't know, because apparently there are lots of teams interested in David. But whatever it is, I wouldn't have done it. But I don't think a new contract for him sort of precludes another winger coming in. If I think it will be one now, not two. Raheem Sterling will go. I think you've got Waneri who can play 10 or right side. You've got Saka on the right. You've got Martinelli, Trossard, and then you bring in one more. You're starting to get a few options there. And I think what you want really is a winger that can ideally play either side, like a Semenyo or a Gittins, or even a Williams. I think he predominantly plays left, I think, but I could be wrong. But he can play right as well. That sort of thing means you've got those options there. But I think Trossard, if he signs a new deal, has to accept that he's probably the equivalent of El Neni when he was here in central midfield, or, in the attack, which is you're the one that's going to play every 7-8 games. You're not going to get that much game time. Yeah. And he's got to be okay with that.
But I don't think he will. That's the issue.
No.
That is the issue we're facing. I don't think he will settle being third choice left winger. Although I don't think we'll sign a left winger. And if we were going to extend Trossard's contract, unless if we get rid of Martinelli. With the Martinelli situation, I would be willing to get rid of him for 60, 70 million. I mean, that's for me a no-brainer. But I would keep him. And what I think will happen is I think we'll extend Trossard's contract, we'll sign a Nico Williams, and then get rid of Martinelli. I think that's what's going to happen, because Arteta for ages has wanted a replacement for Martinelli. With obviously Mudryk, Nico Williams has been on his radar as well. Like he's wanted to replace Martinelli for quite a bit of time actually. So it won't surprise me if Martinelli is the guy that's going to be moved on, which I would hate to see, to be honest, because I still think he's got potential. I think we're taking that risk of him going to another club and absolutely killing it because he's not being utilised properly.
I think very quickly with Martinelli, I think what he wants to do is sign competition for him, not necessarily to replace him. I think if a big bid comes in for Martinelli, they will take it. But I think if a winger were to go this summer, you know, I'm not counting Raheem Sterling because obviously on loan. I think you'll see two. You'd have to see two come in. I've always banked on two coming in on the grounds that one was leaving, which I always sort of thought in my head in a perfect window, it's Trossard that left. But I think if Martinelli goes, two come in for me. But I think Arteta actually quite likes and trusts Martinelli because of the defensive work he does. I think he loves that about him, and he is something different.
But Martinelli's actually like performed there and abouts this season. Like I know he's a bit of a confidence player. He's a bit of confidence and he's a bit inconsistent. But these last two games, where even Josh said at the beginning of the show when I jumped on Martinelli, when we first bought him under Unai Emery, he was used as a centre forward. Like have him. If we are going to end up buying a Nico Williams or an Adamo Lookman or JV Gittins or whatever wide player is going to come in, have that position, because what's going to happen to Gabriel Jesus? Because Jesus is the forgotten man now, because Jesus is now injured going into next season.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with him? Is he's going to be one of those players where he's just going to be used for squad depth? Because nobody doesn't want to buy him.
We won't be able to sell him, will we? Because of injury.
You can't sell.
It's the same with Tomiyasu as well.
Yeah.
Like how the hell are we going to get rid of him?
No one will buy them.
Like we'll probably end up letting these guys
Jesus
go
will go
on
on free because his contract's out next summer, unless Brazil come in with a small bid in January to move the wages off. But I think, I mean, my view would be that Arsenal should be in a title race come December next year when Jesus is back, and therefore I think is 5 million and a few $100,000 a week wages saved worth it. When you might well need him, I suspect not. So I suspect he will end up going on a free. But he's a forgotten man because he's out injured for so long. And I think, you know, Arsenal have now moved past Jesus. You know, just as they've moved past some of the other players they've signed. They've signed a player to improve them for then, but doesn't improve you to the title winning pick because you then get rid of them and build on again. And I think Jesus, you know, and Zinchenko in many ways sort of the embodiment of that sort of approach. But, you know, he may well have a part to play next year with 2 or 3 goals and sort of, you know, coming off the bench. But that will be it for Jesus. That's the best he can now achieve at Arsenal.
But would you not keep Gabriel Jesus for? Look, I want to get rid of him and all that because of injuries. But if he's going to be part of Mikel Arteta's plans next season and he can't go in, would you not have him as a plan B sub?
That's what I was saying. I think if you're in that title race, you don't actually move him on for 5 million and a few £100,000 a week saved because he might well have a part to play. But you can't sell him until January, so your best hope is 5-10 million at best because he's got 6 months on his contract. So I think I don't think he's part of the plans, but I think he'll just be kept around for that because, is someone taking a risk on him for 6 months, given his injury history, or do you, if you want him, do you just wait for the summer and get him on a free? I think any sensible club waits till the summer. So therefore he will be part of the squad in that period. Whether Arteta wants him or not, he'll be in and around for that, and that'll be his best hope.
Yeah, definitely. Lucas, just before we move on, let's quickly give your thoughts about Gyökeres' situation, bro.
I think the Gyökeres situation, I think it'll be a great sign if he does come into Arsenal Football Club. I believe we will get him. I really do. I really hope we don't have any part to play to end up getting Cesco, because I think Cesco's crap, in my opinion. I do not want him at my football club.
Not for me.
But majority, not for me. Cesco's crap, right? And the chat can know that. And look, Gyökeres, I do think this will happen. I really do, and this will be a fantastic signing. Will we win the league next season? For me, that's to remain to be seen, depending what signings we do sign. And look, we could still not win a league title if we do sign a world-class striker like Gyökeres. And I know strikers do, of course, win you league titles and goals, but you need other positions to build around that. And I feel like for me, if you want to get this deal done, I think Arsenal, for me, are now waiting for a waiting game where if Man United win the Europa League, because of all Arsenal fans here in this panel and in the chat, whoever's Arsenal supporters, right, we all want Man United to win. And majority, right, if Man United win, I don't see him going to Man United. I think Gyökeres would want Champions League majority. Why would he want to drop
Well,
into the
if
Europa
United
Well,
win,
they won't
if,
be
you,
Europa
if,
League.
United, if United win
for
the
Man
Europa League, they
United?
go into the Champions League.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they do go into the Champions League, but I feel like if Arsenal maybe end up offering a value of money, I think it's the only way we can try and get Gyökeres.
I mean, I don't think it will come.
So
It depends on what Gyökeres wants, right? Does he want to go to his old manager, yes or no, or does he want to go to a project which is essentially what Manchester United would have to be? 'Cause they're gonna have to rebuild.
But will Man United be
Well, this
ready
is
in the
it, right?
Champions
This is the
League?
point.
Yeah.
Is they would be a major project. They're going to have to do what Arsenal done in the last 4 or 5 years, as I was saying earlier. They're going to have to gut their squad and rebuild. By that point, he's 30, 31. He risks winning nothing. He goes to Arsenal now. He might not win anything. You don't know because we don't know what's going to happen. But if you go to Arsenal, you've got a far greater chance of winning something going to Arsenal, and it will,
Of course, you've got more
and it will
chance of
all
winning
depend on
something.
what he wants. I suspect the only way Manchester United land Gyökeres is either because of the hammering.
Do you see
No,
this happening? Do you think he will
I think he'll
come
go
to
to
Arsenal?
Arsenal. Yeah, unless someone like Real Madrid or Bayern Munich said
But the thing
Yeah.
is, right,
you're going, and I don't think Bayern will because they've got Harry Kane. I don't think Arsenal, but you know what I mean. But he's not. If it's Manchester United or Arsenal, it's the only reason for me he chooses United would be either Amarin or they offer ridiculously stupid wages, like 400,000 a week compared to Arsenal, say 200,000 a week. I'm making those numbers up. They're the only ways that they do that. But I think he goes to Arsenal. I think you'd be crazy to go to Manchester United over Arsenal unless it was all financial.
Yeah, I mean with Real Madrid, like I don't see him wanting to go to Real Madrid either. And it's not, and it's not because we beat them over 2 legs in the Champions League. No, it's not because of that. It's like, where is he gonna play?
Yeah, exactly. I was just
like
Real
you've
Madrid.
got Vinny, you've got Mbappe. Like, so how do you fit them all in then? I think you could argue, right, if Liverpool come in, then that could turn his head slightly because Liverpool don't really play with a striker, do they? So I guess to a certain degree, if they can't get Isak, it won't surprise me if they eventually, look at Gyökeres because like you see the way Slot plays, like he's perfect for them. And I reckon he does suit Liverpool more than he does with Arsenal. Not to say he doesn't suit Arsenal. I think he does. But I think he suits Liverpool better than an Arsenal, in my humble opinion. So, look, I don't think Liverpool will go in for Gyökeres still. I can see them going full gun ho for bloody Isak in the summer, despite it probably not happening. What the fuck is that?
That's Luke.
By the way, he's taking a shit.
Diarrhea in it. Rory, I think Liverpool's a better example.
What is that, bro?
Rory, just really quickly, I think that's Liverpool's a better example than Real Madrid. I couldn't think of a good example off the top of my head, so I just named big clubs. But you're exactly right. That's the danger for Arsenal, not Manchester United for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely. But let's move on to the Zubimendi, because we got actual official news on that. I thought let's just share this one because we're getting the very social connection, guys. I mean, who's next? Maybe that Kubo guy from on the winner. I don't know, but we seem to love the social players. Of course, Odegaard, Marino, Zubimendi. But yeah, Zubimendi. Here we go from Fabrizio that we have. We're going to be getting in. I think we knew this in January, to be honest with you guys. But I want to first get you guys' thoughts. I think Luke is gone, but See you later, mate. But I want to first get you guys'
Taking
thoughts
his shit.
on the signing overall. Because and we will talk about Partey, what it means for him in a minute as well. But I'll come to you first, Dom, on this one. How are you feeling about Zubimendi overall? Like, do you think he's a player that comes in and elevates us to that next level?
On Saturday, my thoughts were I'm incredibly tired, but I've got to get this video out because it's big news.
Yeah, that's a grind, bro.
Mate, I've been at a field for 14, 15 hours. I was shattered.
Oh, mate.
I think Zubimendi is a really good player. I think he's sort of similar to the Rodri mould. I don't like to compare them, but, you know, not necessarily the biggest, not necessarily a big tackler, but capable of it, but sort of reads the game and wins the ball that way. I think his passing, as I was sort of alluding to earlier, sort of replaced what Thomas Partey used to bring, which is that breaking the line passes that we've probably missed a little bit this season. So I think from that sort of level, I think that will work really quite nicely. And I think we'll continue the sort of double pivot between, you know, him and Rice next season. I think the concerns I would have are twofold, and you never know until a player sort of signs right.
Yeah.
Would be one is that is he going to be physical enough for the Premier League? Now we've seen players have those concerns before and be fine, and we've seen bigger players not be fine. So you never know until it's there. And I think I'd probably couple that one with, you know, how he'll cope away from Spain, because, you know, part of the reason he stayed last year was because he was really comfortable in Spain, wanted to stay in Spain. How will he cope being away? But again, we won't know those sort of things until he joins. But as a player, I think he's fine. It's just that physical side. How will he cope? I don't know. I think my only other concern, and I sort of alluded to this again earlier, is that Rice Zubimendi, I'm not sure it's creative enough, and I think it will put a lot of pressure on that sort of front four with plus Rice is running from deep. The only thing I sort of caveat that with, as I say, is that through the line passing. But I think we need that creative player to sit in alongside them if we're starting those two. But I think, you know, I think he fits the way Arsenal want to play football a lot, and I think, you know, overall this is a really good deal, and I think, you know, something we should be rightly happy about. And I think, you know, I also think Arsenal will get it done without the release clause because of that relationship with Real Sociedad. I mean, obviously Odegaard came from Real Madrid.
Without the release clause, you're saying?
Yeah, I think Arsenal will negotiate a price.
Okay.
Even if it's more than the release clause, because it's in Arsenal's interest to do so with the way FFP works.
Oh, I see.
60 million euros, what? Let's call it 55 million quid. It's just under, but call it 55 million. That's a one hit this summer. If you pay, say, 70 million euros, let's call it 60 million quid.
Yeah.
Then you can split that over the length of his contract.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's actually worth paying more to get him, rather than trigger the release clause. But I think this is a really good signing for Arsenal. Really, you know, on paper, yeah, with all signings, you never know until they join.
No, of course, man. What about you, Rory, bro? How are you feeling overall about Zubimendi coming in this summer? Already and announced pretty much getting the business. As I said, we've done in January, but it's good that we're acting quick, man. But what do you think about Zubimendi?
Yeah, I don't mind the signing. Doesn't really excite me as much as, you know, let's say a strike was going to come in at this period. But I'm glad we've got it over the line so we don't have to worry about it, because I had a sense that for some absurd reason that this was going to just drag on. So that was the worrying thing about the Zubimendi deal. I thought it was going to drag on until, well, the transfer window eventually closes before the Club World Cup begins. So I thought we're going to have to bloody wait forever for this deal to get announced. But it's been done now. And yeah, in terms of Zubimendi as a player, like, I've always been a fan of him. I'd say he's been distinctly average this season, to be honest. But again, I think that's more down to Real Sociedad as a team. I think they've been really poor this year. They had a great season last year, but this season, it's clear to me that he didn't want to be there, did he? So I think this move is, I mean, I'd say it makes perfect sense because it's almost like a Jorginho replacement with more legs, I'd say. I think his ability to break the lines is something that Arteta really wants from his CDM. because I don't think Declan Rice has the capability of doing that. From Arteta's point of view, not my point of view.
Not with his passing. He does it with his running, right? And Zubimendi does it with his passing.
I do worry about his physical side of things, because I watched obviously the Man United game in the Europa League when they got knocked out and he got brushed by Casemiro. So
never concerning that at all, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that does worry me about Zubimendi, that he might be a bit lightweight for the Premier League, but I have no doubt about his ability and the fact he can slow the tempo down, and he is pretty much a conductor in that midfield, isn't he? So yeah, I don't mind this signing whatsoever. I think it's a decent bit of business, not something to get over the moon about, but still, like, it's good that we've got that midfielder through the door already. I know it was done back in January, but we've got it done now. After Jorginho got the here we go, I believe, was it a week ago? So
This time last week, yeah.
yeah,
I think just quickly on Zubimendi, I don't think he's been disinterested in not wanting to be at Sociedad. I think the opposite is true. I think he wanted to be there. I think he's another one that's just suffered from this. Football hasn't stopped for so long. These guys have played for nearly 2 years, and I think you're seeing it with a lot of players this season, across the board. But I think it also sort of shows you how long these deals can take. The fact that, this deal was, looked good to go in January and it's taken till now. And I'm not just talking about Arsenal here. It's something I think is true across the board. But, I think a lot of deals will get done early this summer. And Julie sort of alluded to it earlier in the chat. You haven't got international competitions this summer, beyond the FIFA World Cup thing, World Club Cup, not World Cup, the World Club Cup, which will only affect a handful of teams. And therefore, I think we'll just see a lot of deals come early this year, because I think players are in a position where they can sort of make those decisions because they're not thinking about their international tournaments and international commitments. So I think this will be a very different window to last year.
Yeah, I was just thinking about I was going to say something about Zubimendi. It's completely left my mind. I'm sure it'll come back, but
yeah,
it's completely left my mind.
It's what linked into what I wanted to talk about with this, because I think Ornstein came out today talking about Partey, and he said that Arsenal would like to renew Partey's contract and the midfield would like to stay, but it's yet to be known if they'll reach an agreement. The guys are looking for possible alternatives. If Zubimendi does come in, I think Dom made a really good point about Partey. I can't remember what podcast it was, but I think you were saying, Dom, that Partey, he needs to have a run of games, right, week in, week out, to stay, sort of fully fit. With Zubimendi coming in, where's this guy going to really fit in this team, guys? Because is Zubimendi really going to be a rotation? He's not, is he?
No, Zubimendi will start.
Yeah, you know what it is? I'm pretty sure Dom alluded to this earlier. He did. I'm pretty sure you did, Dom, about Trossard being, the El Neni type. I reckon Thomas Partey will be
different position, but yes.
Yeah. So I think that will be the case. I think him and Moreno could.
I think Moreno will be the El Neni in midfield.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think that's what's going to happen. I reckon Zubimendi and Partey will fight for the number 6 role, and then Rice and Moreno will fight for the box-to-box midfield position, and then the number 10, where Odegaard plays, could be, I guess. Well, I want it to be Odegaard and Waneri, but if he fancies him on the right-hand side, Waneri, I'm speaking about, then you're going to need a number 10, aren't you? So, yeah, I mean, that's what I think will happen next season. I reckon we will actually sign Partey up on a new deal. Not by 3 or 4 years, but I'd say 1 or 2 if we're going to extend his deal. And that's
1 plus 1.
Say again.
1 with the option for a second.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So something like that. That's something I would do because Partey's had a brilliant season. Aside from, the 2 mistakes against PSG, which Although the first one wasn't necessarily a mistake, but the second goal was a mistake, but it wasn't really necessarily down to him. It was Kivior's shite pass. Aside from the PSG game, and he obviously gave away a penalty against PSV, which eventually meant nothing, did it? But he's been solid this season, and he's been one of our best midfielders. In fact, our best midfielder, I'd almost argue.
Yeah.
I mean, Declan Rice has sort of come into it late January, but Thomas Partey over the course of the season has been our best midfielder, in my opinion. So
Rice has been the best since Christmas, but over the course of the season, it's Partey. I mean, I'm torn on Thomas Partey, right? Because I don't like making a decision on a player, particularly in a contract year. I think you had to look at his whole time here, and I think where I'd worry about Partey would be one, as I said before, he's at his best when he plays consistently, and he's not going to play consistently. Secondly, is that he still is a very injury-prone player here. I can't blame Arsenal for signing him because he wasn't injury-prone before he arrived.
No.
It just happened here, right?
No.
And that's because England is a different league to Spain, right? And that I think that's part of the reason for that. And he's not played here, so you don't know. So I'm not going to be critical of that, but I worry about his fitness still because history suggests that he will be injury-prone, even if he hasn't been that this year. So I think they're the concerns about signing him. I think the plus sides about signing he's obviously still a very good player. When he plays for Arsenal, generally speaking, you get a 7, 8 out of 10 from him most games. And I think the other thing about it is it's one less piece of business to do in the summer. I think if in an ideal world, I think Arsenal will be fine financially this year. I think there's money to spend, but if money was no object, you let Partey go and you bring in a different type of centre midfielder. But that will depend on how much other business they're looking to do. If Arsenal go, do you know what? We're not going to sell Kivior. So our business is going to be Zubimendi, a striker, a winger, because we're not selling Trossard, and a backup goalkeeper. I think you can probably let Partey go and bring in a different midfielder. So I think all of that needs taking into consideration. So it's one of those ones where I'm kind of all right if he goes, and I'm kind of all right if he stays, because I think there are pluses and minuses to both. What he does need to do if he stays, though, is like Trossard, he's going to have to accept the squad role and he's going to need a significant wage cut.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. If he was to move on, though, would we have to go and get another midfielder in?
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because we have no Jorginho. He's gone. Partey's gone.
Zinchenko could play there, but I think you have to.
He might go as well.
I think Kivior is the more likely. I don't sell Kivior and Zinchenko. I think you can get more money for Kivior than Zinchenko because I think Zinchenko has a limited market because of the type of player he is. You have to play in a certain type of way, whereas Kivior can play for most teams.
Yeah.
I mean, I reckon Lewis Skelly will take that 6th role, to be honest. If we don't exempt Partey's contract, I reckon Lewis Skelly will take that 6th role because I've seen him. I think it was Ipswich when he came off the bench, or did he start? I can't remember at the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he came on in that 6th role, and Declan Rice played as the 8.
Yeah.
So
So then we have to buy a new left back then.
Then you'd have to get a new left back.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen because I've been hearing, according to Ben Jacobs, that we're exploring another bloody left back. So that'll be 8 in total, I believe, that we signed under this manager.
I think what happens there is, I think if Miles Lewis-Skelly moves into midfield, I think he should move into the 8, not the 6. But I think Miles Lewis-Skelly is our left back. I think Mikel Arteta has found the player he wants at left back. I think if we sign a left back this summer, I think it would be to move Calafiori inside and Kivior goes. So I think that's kind of where it ends up for me. So I think if we sign a defender, if Kivior or Zinchenko go, one of those two has to go. And then at that point, if you're signing a left back, you're signing a left back. But and because you can move Calafiori over left centre half or left back.
Might as well just keep Tierney at this rate, man.
Yeah.
Well, again, it comes to the injuries, though. You can't rely on him. I know he stayed fit this year, but his game time is limited. As soon as he sort of gets a run of games, he tends to get injured, doesn't he? I think much as I love Tierney, I really love Tierney. I think it's the right decision for Arsenal to let him go because, again, it's like with Partey, isn't it? You just can't trust him to be fit.
True. And there's no. I mean, I think it's almost confirmed that he's going back to Celtic anyway.
It's done. Yeah, he's signed a free contract.
He's going to go and win a league title there as well.
Probably, yeah, man.
I mean, to be
Yeah.
fair, no one else is winning the league, are they?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
to be fair, there's a
when
reason why Celtics won like over 60 league titles for crying out loud.
It's like Linfield in Northern Ireland.
Jesus.
Yeah, I reckon I could manage Linfield and they still win the title. I mean, and I'm not a professional manager in any way, shape, or form. They're just the best side in Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah. So when we talk about Partey, if he does move on, because I'm thinking maybe if I know Barca were looking at him, if just rumors, I know Atleti wanted him back, Saudi may be involved. Like if he does go and think, you know what, he's getting older now. His contract's almost up as well, Partey, isn't it?
It would be a free transfer if he goes, yeah.
It'd be a free transfer, exactly. He may want to, just seeing the money coming, he may want to move on, and also may want to move him on. The type of midfielder, if Skelly doesn't play in the midfield, what midfielder would you guys sort of prioritize then? Would it be, and some names maybe?
Yeah. My boy Eze.
Oh, there we go, Eze. There we go. Straight away. I knew he was going to say that.
I know. You can see it on my face.
As soon as he smiled, I was like, he's about to say Eze. I know. That's his boy.
So does it include attacking midfielders as well?
Yeah.
Oh, attacking midfielders. It's hard not to say Eze, to be honest. I really want him as well, but if I had to choose one, it would be Morgan Rogers to play in that 8 role.
I'm coming around more and more to that, Rory, actually, because I was worried about him being a system fit, but actually I was sort of looking more into him and think, well, he came through City and therefore, Arsenal and City play in a similar way, so he's kind of been brought up in that system. So I'm less worried about him than I was a few months ago. So I'd be all right with him as well. But I think it's that type of profile player, right?
Yeah, the only downside to Morgan Rogers is his end product. He needs to work on his end product.
If it right in.
Yeah, hence he is perfect for that box-to-box midfield role. Perfect.
Yeah.
He won't have to rely on his finishing, to be honest.
I also wonder if he might be available as well, because Villa have something like 96% wages to ratio turnover or something horrific like that.
Mm.
And if the reports are correct, Naipan is coming in now. You might want to ease him in a little bit and sort of use Jacob Ramsey if you're Villa. I mean, Villa fans would know better than I am, but they may be in a position where they need to sell Morgan Rogers, and if that's the case, Arsenal may well be looking to sort of, may be able to sort of, he might be available. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he can also do a job on the left-hand side as well.
Yeah,
that's what he's been playing for Villa. So
yeah,
if you need a left winger,
it's the same with Eze, right? It's I think that's the sort of appeal of both of them as well. Is that you've got that Trossard type player if that's what you need to unlock that side of things.
Mm.
Yeah. 100%.
Who would you bring in, Josh?
Reinders to me. The Milan.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
Milan,
he's a baller.
Very, very impressive. What I've seen of him. So yeah, but I think Eze, fantastic shout from Dom.
Yeah, that. I think he's absolutely
knows the league well as well.
And probably available. I don't think Crystal Palace stand in his way. The only risk with him would be, I mean, Adam Wharton's a shout as well, by the way, speaking of Palace players.
Mm.
But the only risk I think I'd see with Eze not going would be if they sell Gehi. Will they need the money? I'm not sure they will. Is there a need for them to sell more than one? But I don't think Palace would stand in his way if Arsenal were to come knocking. I could be wrong, but I don't think they would.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk about Cunha again, despite his links with Man United. But I'm hearing that Arsenal could come back in for Cunha this summer. I mean, I would take him.
So, but where would you say you play for Arsenal then?
I'd play him either. I'd say attacking midfield, to be honest.
What, where Odegaard plays?
Huh?
Where Odegaard plays right now?
Yeah. And then I'd move Odegaard box to box if necessary. Yeah. That's what I would do, because Cunha was a striker and he's been converted to an attacking midfielder, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So
I think Butter signed him as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So I can see us putting a bid in for Cunha, to hijack the.
I'm worried about.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Dom, about his attitude, but
Coutinho.
I think we need some of that now. So, I really do. Right? Yes, I know he can
It's
leave.
not necessarily.
Is Dom on the McDonald's Wi-Fi now?
Oh dear.
Dom's got the Luca Wi-Fi, the hotel Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no, sorry about that.
No, you're good, bro.
Yeah,
No, as you're saying, man.
It's sorted out. It was quick.
Oh, okay.
Crap. I mean, my issue with Cunha isn't the
I
spikiness
thought
in
Lucas'
his
Wi-Fi was contagious for a minute then.
It's not his attitude that bothers me. I can live with that, and I think you're right, Rory. Having a little bit of that squad isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the fact that he goes and does something so stupid. Sometimes it would bother me.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me about him. But I mean, I like your Reinders shout. I think that's a really good one. Could we go for Quentin Timber?
Timber's brother. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
About Cunha, like, don't you think when we had it with Xhaka, right? I know they play in different positions, but when we had Xhaka, I reckon that actually helped us. In that first season where he was box to box midfield role in that 8, and if, let's say, I know we've got the likes of Havertz and Gabriel to a certain degree. Apart from that, we don't really have anyone else who would get in your face, get into your head like Xhaka would. In all fairness, so I think we need some of that in this team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and Cunha would bring that. Like I said, it's just that mental side of him where he'll just go and punch someone or something stupid that bothers me.
Yeah, but he's a quality player, like, no doubt about it. I think it's something to do with the fact he's playing for Wolves. He's far too good to be playing for Wolves at the moment. Like, there's no way he should be fighting for relegation. He should be, in my opinion, playing for one of the top 4 clubs. He should be playing the Champions League next season. He's that good.
He certainly should be playing in Europe for me. Minimum level for him. Minimum level is Europa League.
A few interesting shouts from Nathan. He's got Edison for Atlanta's a good shout.
He's
very, very good player. Very, very underrated. Douglas Luiz. We linked with him for a long time,
No, not for me. I never liked him at Villa.
That's interesting because it's not really worked out for Juve. I just think he's better suited in the Premier League, to be honest. So that might not be a bad shout.
And then he says Sudakov. Is that the Shakhtar player? Shakhtar Donetsk player?
Yeah, I think so. I don't really know a whole lot about him, to be honest.
I think he played against us Champions League. He must have.
Yeah.
I think he did. I didn't. But there we go. If he's watched him, then fair enough. But yeah, there we go. Some good shouts there.
What about Palacios from Leverkusen? Because Leverkusen could be tanking this year.
Is he the Argentine midfielder? Yeah. That's a very good shout, Dom. To be fair.
I mean, I'm just sort of thinking about them because with their manager almost certainly off.
Yeah.
Does that all fall apart now? Frimpong has a release clause, for instance. Wirtz is being linked with Liverpool, which I don't quite get. I mean, obviously, Wirtz is a good player, but I don't quite get how that works. But Bayern Munich sort of seems, well, again, they've got Misala, haven't they? But, he's being linked with everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what as well. We could be looking at, if Real Madrid are moving on one of their midfielders or PSG,
Neves
or Vitinho or Zaire-Emery, any of those,
man.
I think there's lots of options out there.
Fabian Ruiz as well.
Oh, yeah, there is.
There is with him.
Judy says Kudus, Mohamed Kudus as well.
I don't know.
I think he plays more on the wing.
True.
Yeah, I don't know about Kudus at the moment. I think he's had a really poor season with West Ham, in all fairness. I know West Ham have been poor, but 80 million? I don't think he's worth that, in all fairness.
No, you don't play that, right? I mean, I'm still a Coop Miners fan. I'd have signed him last summer, but...
Coop Miners is another one, man.
But you know what it is? I still think Kudus is a baller, but it's just this season... I swear, man's just despawned. From the season he had last season to now, like, I don't know, like, he's just disappeared off the face of the earth. And whether that's because he's playing in the more central position, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's end, of course, talking about. I mean, I know we've got a week away, but we've got 2 games left in Premier League, guys.
Right.
Got 2 games left in Premier League.
I cannot wait until this season.
I know, bro. I know. Newcastle at the Emirates Sunday. 3 games against them. Not even scored against them in the 3 games. Lost all 3. Eddie Howe just seems to find a way against us, man. I remember when they came that 0-0 game a few years ago. Was it 2020 or 2021?
The 0-0 draw?
Yeah, it was 2022. It must have been.
No, it was 2 seasons ago, actually.
Oh, was it? Was it?
Yeah.
When we was in
what
the
was
8
0-0?
points clear. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it was that one, wasn't it? Yeah.
But he seems to always find a way against us, man. And at the end of the day, if they do beat us, they got above us. I think at one point, obviously, they beat Chelsea. So we could drop down to 3rd. I think we'll do Southampton on the last game of the season. So I thought Champions League. I think it's like a 99% chance Arsenal to not qualify with Champions League. I think teams below us because we've got goal difference as well.
I think it's nigh on impossible, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think Champions League is there, but in terms of dropping down to the table, we could maybe drop down to 4th to maybe around 4th this season, which is obviously a massive regression. Even though no one's happy finishing 2nd, by the way.
No, of course not.
But Newcastle at home, last home game of the season, probably in the new kit as well.
Yay!
Maybe that'll be
the Champions League is your new kit for next season. So Arsenal.
And by the way, there's a new fleece top out. Get your winter wearing ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well, can I have one?
But I think we may have a few doubts. Obviously, we know there'll be no Mikel Marino due to suspension. Rice was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a hamstring injury.
So even he might miss the game.
He will miss the game.
See some, rotation in the midfield. I'll talk about lineups in a minute. Just firstly, I'll start with you, Rory, bro. Thoughts about coming to this game, bro? Newcastle at home.
I have no hope, in all fairness. I know we came back from 2-0 down against Liverpool, but like defensively at the moment against bloody Isak, like we struggled even with our 2 centre backs. Our best centre back pairing starting in Saliba and Gabriel. They got bullied by Isak. I can't fear to think what Isak will do to Saliba and Kiwior, especially when Saliba is.
Looking a bit shaky recently.
Yeah, I don't think it's a Madrid thing, and I don't think it's because Gabriel isn't there. I just think he's played so many minutes, and that's another player who's getting overplayed by this manager, which is frustrating. So we do need a centre back, whether that's a centre back who can play on both sides to cover for Saliba and Gabriel. I don't know, but Saliba cannot play every minute next season because, yeah, he just looks shattered. In all fairness, I don't even know what to do for this game, like lineup wise. It's so difficult what to do in midfield as well because Rice is going to miss the last 2 games. Apparently, we're not going to take any further risks.
Yeah.
In case he has to go into bloody surgery, and that'll be like 4 players this season going into surgery because of hamstring injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind it happening like once or twice, but when it's a regular occurrence, that's when you've got to sort of question, right? Okay, what is the manager actually doing? Because this is just not normal.
I mean, surely midfield, Ethan's got to start this game.
Yeah, 100%. Whether that's, Ethan and Odegaard together, I don't know. I would love that.
He's got
to
to
see how that pans out. In terms of, who's going to play 6, it's probably going to be Partey, isn't it? Not Jorginho. But Jorginho will probably end up starting in double pivot, in all fairness. And then we might play Zinchenko. We might play Lewis Skelly. I mean, just experiment. Like this is what I asked for from the manager in these last 2 games. Just experiment. Try something new. Because, quite frankly, I couldn't give two tosses about what happens in these last two games. Even if we somehow drop down into the Europa League, hopefully that actually wakes up the board, to be honest, that investments are needed. And they deserve Europa League after the dismal transfer windows. So, yeah, bro, what do you even do in this situation? I think Rye's obviously going to go in goal, unless if you want to give Neto a farewell.
So give him a
No,
farewell,
no.
mate. Give him a farewell.
No. I know you're joking, but no. No, if he wants a farewell, I'll buy him a Cornetto.
Oh my god.
In fairness, Neto's done what he was wanting to do, which was be the backup and be there if needed. But thankfully, he hasn't been needed.
But he hasn't been needed.
There we go. There
Yeah,
we go.
but that's what you want from your backup goalkeeper. You don't want to be playing your backup goalkeeper.
Mm.
Oh, but yeah, Rye will go in goal, obviously. I'd start Ben White again, because why not? I mean, Timber has deserved the rest, to be honest. There's no need to play Timber for these last two games. Saliba and Kiwior, although I don't really want to play Saliba right now because I just think he's shattered. So I wouldn't mind Timber actually at right centre back, just to give Saliba a break, and then Kiwior left centre back. Left back, I'll play Tierney. Why not? Because obviously it's his last home game, isn't it?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, so it's last time you're going to see Tierney at the Emirates.
He might have to play left wing.
Yeah.
Potentially. Midfield could be Partey. I'll start Odegaard and Waneri. Just again, try something that we haven't tried before, like he did in the second half against Liverpool, where he actually tweaked things and moved Martinelli more central. That's what I want to see. Just something different. So I want to see Waneri, Odegaard together in midfield, see how it pans out, and then right wing will be I don't know, Saka perhaps. Although again, we've got only 2 games left, so that there's no need. There's no need to play our best players really. So, but it's gonna be Saka nevertheless on the left. We might give Sterling a farewell for being absolute shit. I would like to see Martinelli up front. Like, he has no choice but to play Martinelli up front. But likewise, it's going to be fucking Trossard, isn't it?
Yeah, Trossard's injured.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Trossard's injured. Shit. So
What is he?
Yeah,
he's got a hamstring injury.
limped off on.
I forgot about that. You know.
Oh shit, he's injured as well now.
Yeah. So it will have to be Sterling, won't it? And then Martinelli through the middle. He has no choice but to play Martinelli through the middle.
Well, he could play Martinelli left when Waneri top. He says he's going to be a striker. I mean, I don't actually believe that, by the way, but.
I mean, this game's just all about experimenting, isn't it? As well as Southampton, so I have nothing else to say really about the
there's nothing. It's one of those ones, isn't it?
I'm just so deflated from this season, and you know, it's been a tough watch.
Yeah, 100%. Dom, how you feel? I mean, what's your thoughts coming into the game, and what would be your team as well, man?
Yeah, just really quickly. Faisal, by the way, right on Coop Miners. I mean, I still think he's a good player, but he's absolutely right, by the way. He hasn't done well at Juve. But in terms of this one, I look, the end of the season has been a little bit worrisome. I don't think there's any getting away from that. I mean, I'm still optimistic for the future, but you know, maybe that's my sunny disposition. But I actually think that finishing second is really important. I think, you know, it doesn't matter in some ways whether you finish second or fourth. You're still in the Champions League, but I think finishing second is psychologically important. I think, you know, it sounds bizarre, but the players have not been up for the Premier League for the last little while. It's all been about the Champions League, and I understand that on a human level, but they need to focus on the Premier League now, and I think they need to sort of stop this rot and get the end of the season. It has to be good. I think that helps you go into the summer in a better place, but I think they're sort of feeling the sort of disappointment of this season quite highly, and I think you saw that in Mikel Arteta's sort of post-match reaction. Just how angry and disappointed he is at what's happened this season, which sort of I think bodes well for following season. But Newcastle, you're right. I think they are almost the way they're set up is perfect for playing against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Really, really physical, really dogged defensively, and excellent and ruthless on the break. And that's kryptonite for Arsenal. Every team has its weakness, and that's sort of Arsenal's, and Newcastle are perfect for that. And we're going in this yet again with who's fit to play. I think if I'm Arteta, I think Arteta will go strong for this one. I think he knows he needs to win, and I think he wants to win. So I think it will be strong. I think it will be Raya. I think it will be Timber if he's fit, but I don't think he's going to take risks if they're not. So like Rory was saying, I don't think Rice plays. So it'll be Timber or White, whichever one's fit. It'll be Saliba and Kivior, and then I think Miles Lewis-Skelly or playing at left back will be interesting. Whether he plays him there or whether he plays him into midfield, I suspect it will be Miles. What could be interesting is Lewis-Skelly at left back and Zinchenko partnering Partey in midfield, and
True. Yeah.
and then almost those two switching in play. I think
yeah, that's a good
whether
shout.
that might work tactically, just sort of confuse that sort of Newcastle's right hand flank about which one's going where. That might sort of be interesting to see. I think if Miles Lewis-Skelly is the midfielder, by the way, I think that probably tells you his future might be midfield next year. I still think it'll be left back. So that might work. I can't see Waneri starting with Odegaard. I'm always a bit worried about that in terms of the balance, but I think that's something you do with 20 minutes to go. I think Waneri, I think there've been concerns about his sort of workload this season. I think that's why we haven't seen him. I think he should have had a few more minutes in the last games. I would have thrown him on against Paris with 15 to go. Obviously, I wouldn't have thrown him in on Sunday because, Moreno gets sent off and you're trying to hold at that point. But I think had Moreno not been sent off, I think that would have been an interesting sub. But I just wonder if this... I don't think it's a question of not trusting Waneri. I think there's something underneath there. But I think if he's fit, I would start him on one of the two flanks and Saka on the other. Odegaard, I think, needs to continue because he's just starting to find a little bit of confidence. And then it's got to be Martinelli up front. But I just wonder if you go Martinelli, Waneri, and Saka as your front three, whether they actually just interchange in play and see a lot of interchange. And I wonder if that's the way to beat Newcastle. I don't know, but I think I do something like that. But I actually do think this game matters. I do think finishing second is important for Arsenal. I do think stopping this rot, and it has been an awful and dire run of form, partly because we've been resting players to prioritise the Champions League, which has cost us some points where we might well have won otherwise if we were in a title fight. I think partly it's been mental and psychological with the players, which, isn't acceptable. And you could see the angry reaction from the manager about that, on Sunday.
Yeah.
But, I do think it's important from that perspective.
Yeah, 100%. Score prediction, guys. What are we going with draw?
Oh yeah, why not? I mean,
Yeah, probably end up drawing again.
I think I started one of my videos today with it was, after that draw at the weekend, and I think I said draw again.
Yeah, I don't know if
it was one that went out today or one I
honest.
recorded for tomorrow. But
I don't see us winning, to be honest. I really don't.
Yeah.
Newcastle actually have something to fight for.
Yeah.
Whereas we have nothing. It's a dead rubber. The Emirates is going to be flat. So...
Yeah, it's a shame.
I don't even throw out a score prediction. It's just...
Probably 1-1 for me.
It's a bit like when we were trying to sort of predict the scores against Everton and Brentford, wasn't it? Where we knew there was going to be massive rotation.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what Arsenal are going to play. This one, it's like, who's going to be fit? And therefore, we don't know your team, which makes the score prediction really hard.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that is that, guys. That is that. Big up everyone for tuning in today. Really appreciate everyone tuning in.
By the way, Josh, sorry to interrupt,
sorry,
but Alfie, I don't remember.
Hold on, what's this?
I don't remember losing the plot.
Remember when Rory lost the plot with me? I wanted to run again. When was this? When was this?
No idea. It's not Alfie D, is it? It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. It's a different Alfie. Yeah,
I was about to say.
Yeah, it's not Alfie D. It's a different one.
But yeah, I don't remember. So
Um,
you might have to point me in the right direction. on
yeah,
that one.
this is another thing I was gonna talk about, and everyone's saying in the chat about Waneri. I mean, no minutes again. Against Liverpool, getting limited minutes. Palace, Bournemouth, 5 minutes. PSG, first leg, 5 minutes. What is going on? Like,
He must be struggling Arteta's misses or something. Like, and he's fucking 18 as well.
no,
So,
exactly.
although I swear,
I understand the point where people say,
yeah, age consent is obviously 18. So yeah, to be fair, but again,
16, isn't it?
16. Sorry,
16.
you know.
Yeah. But I get the point when people say, you know, we got to manage him because he's a young player. But at the same time, you know, number one, he deserves more minutes than he's getting. That's obvious. Number two, we got Lewis Skelly, who's playing week in, week out. He's younger than him. You know, left back week in, week out. I look at other players out there across Europe playing week in, week out, and they're similar ages. I don't understand. Because even before that, really, guys, he was playing Trossard there when Odegaard got injured, and everyone's screaming for Waneri.
I don't think this is. Oh, sorry, Rory, you go.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
you can go before me if you
that's
want.
right. No, after you.
Oh, okay.
I'm a gentleman, if nothing else.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, it's as if Arteta knows that Waneri is pretty much the only guy we've got who can make some sort of an impact when he comes on, but he brings him on when it's too late.
Yeah.
Right. There's
I agree.
5 minutes left, and he gets subbed on. Like I said before, that the guy was once banned from the Arsenal dressing room because he was 17. He's now turned 18, and he's now banned from making more than 5 minutes on the pitch, for God's sake.
Yeah, in fairness, he's banned from the dressing room because of rules rather than anything else. But
yeah, but it's frustrating. Like he's now banned from the football pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing for me is I didn't realise that was yellow under there. I've been wearing this kit for months.
That's class.
Yeah, again, I do not remember this as well. But when I said stop the stream, please, Josh,
This must
enlighten
have
me.
been ages ago, mate.
Yeah, it must have been ages ago.
Either that or he's next to you in the gents, and you were worried about wetting yourself or something. But I mean, I think the thing with Waneri, I don't think it's just an age thing, right? I think he definitely should have played more minutes. Paris Saint-Germain first leg should have come on, earlier than he did. He should have been getting more minutes. I absolutely agree, and I think there is something here about he's a bit more of a free spirit, and I think it's really important that he doesn't lose that, and I think it's really important Arteta doesn't do that. And history suggests that he will probably, as with other managers of similar ilk like Pep, want to sort of get that out of him. I think it's partly why Jack Grealish has not actually flourished at City, which is too robotic, and I worry about that for Waneri's future. But I don't think it's an age thing. So Rory and yourself are right when you point to the fact that players like Miles Lewis-Skelly are getting more minutes, other players across Europe getting more minutes. I think it's sort of a physical thing. If you look at Bukayo Saka when he came through, he's a physical freak. Miles Lewis-Skelly in a similar sort of mould. Waneri is much lighter frame. He's almost still growing. And I wonder if it's that. And I think if you look earlier in the season where he got a run of games, he then got little niggles and didn't fully break down, but started to break down slightly. And I wonder if that might be taking its toll on him. I hope that's the reason, rather than he's just not playing. But I'm not worried about Waneri's minutes going forward. I think he has had a lot of minutes this season. I'd like to see him get more of a chance in his last couple of games. I'd like to have seen him get more of a chance in the last few. Ultimately, we don't know, but I wonder if it might be something to do with that, because it doesn't make sense, particularly in Paris where you need a goal. It doesn't matter at that point if you concede again. You've got to go and try and win it, and therefore not putting him on doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense even from a workload point of that point of view, because that's your game, that's your season. So if he does get injured and misses the last 3-4 games of the season, it doesn't matter. But I wonder if there's some kind of underlying issue there with Waneri. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have put him on, as I said, on Sunday, because that game state didn't didn't necessarily, but he should be getting more minutes. And I think if Sterling starts on Sunday, then I think it's got to be that, because there's no way any manager starts Sterling over Waneri unless it's a sort of fitness thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating, right?
Well,
but
it's
that
got to be that, surely.
I mean, that's the only logical reason,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's
Not
gotta
that
be
logic
the
always
reason.
comes into things, but
Please tell me, Josh, this rings any bells, by the way.
Huh?
Please tell me this comment rings any bells. The bottom one.
Oh, from Alf. It was when the push. Oh, you Seb was in the stream. Rory, fucking brilliant. I've saved it. Give us the. Do you remember the date of the stream, Alf? Like the game or whatever it was, and how long ago it was, and we're trying to find it, bro. I've got to see it.
Man, call me a patriot, you know.
Big up, man. Big up. But yeah.
I should
Anyway.
let Seb know that he's posh now. By the way,
Yeah.
I'd be well happy with that if someone said I was posh. I'll take that as a badge of honour.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the
But-
second poshest man on YouTube after Bertie.
Oh, yeah, big up Push 30, man. Big up Push 30 every time. But yeah, guys, that is that, man. As I said, I appreciate everyone tuning in today. Big up 50 likes as well. Really appreciate that. And yeah, let's shout everyone as always. Dom, you my friend, you're doing your thing with the YouTube shorts again.
Yeah, I've got a video coming out, especially for Tom Red tomorrow on Macbeth.
I'm surprised you remember that much about it, bro. Back in the day,
I was out of knowledge at that point. There was for context, there was a conversation on Macbeth because Tom had an exam today on Macbeth, and I remembered about as much of Macbeth as I possibly could this morning. No, I've got a video coming out tomorrow, which might be the one where I sort of said about the draw again on. Oh yeah, randomly I went back to Mikel Arteta's press conference on Sunday, mostly because I'd already recorded a video which was going out this morning on Trossard. So I was like, I can't, I'm not pulling it now. Yeah, that's coming out tomorrow. There'll be other bits and pieces during the week, but yeah, again, massive support from everyone. So thank you for that. But as I say, that video is coming out tomorrow. As always, I can't remember what the bloody hell I said, but I'll find out in the morning.
I love that. I actually love that. You're at what, almost 130 now, I think.
I don't know, 120 something last time I checked. 121.
Oh, 121 now.
But 25,500 views because it's on my phone right now. In the last 28 days, so that's not bad going. For a
You
new
got
channel.
I think you got one over 2K the other day as well. 2K
I did,
views.
yeah.
Incredible,
So
man. Incredible.
yeah, it's thanks to everyone for the support. As I say, I'm just over 6 months in now, so yeah, unbelievable. So thanks as always to everyone that has supported. It's massively appreciated and surprising to everyone, including me.
Yeah, man. Nah, you're doing your thing, bro. 100%. What I'm gonna do, I think you got anyway. I'm sure people in the chat already have subscribed to Dom, but I'm gonna put his link. I'll do Rory's as well in the chat, guys. So make sure if you haven't already gone, that's where you can find Dom, over there as well. I know.
Just a side note, you've probably not seen me for the next 2 or 3 months. So
yes, because
yeah,
I know you put something on your community, right?
yeah. In case you haven't seen already, I don't want to get too serious, but
Don't worry, Rory. You can do serious. I'll bring it back.
Yeah, obviously you can read it yourself, and yeah, hopefully you can understand why I have to sort of take a bit of a break off YouTube. I mean, I've got obviously GCSEs mid-June anyway, so
yeah. Could I just say, I know you can read it for yourselves on Rory's post, but do please go and read that. I think it's it's a really important message Rory's put out there, and I've said it to you sort of privately, and I think I've commented on it, but I've been to sleep since then. But please go and read it. I think it's really important, and I want to congratulate you, Rory, on putting something so brave out there. So well done,
100%.
seriously, and I mean that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
For once, I'm not pissing about.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I echo that 100%, man. 100%. But Yeah.
What have you got coming out, Josh? By the way, I'm loving the videos at the moment.
I
Like,
appreciate it.
genuinely.
I
I
appreciate
love
it,
those.
man. No, I really do appreciate it. Yeah, I'm trying to do like more sort of. I know it's transfer. I know it's just rumors, but I did one about. I don't know if you saw it. I think you commented on them, about the.
Oh,
Arsenal
one of them I
players.
wrote an essay.
Yeah, I just, bro, because bro, you know your stuff, man. So I sit there. Usually when people write paragraphs to me, I just read the first line and just scroll off. When Dom writes it, yeah, I fully focus on read it, man, because actually, it's actually interesting. You know what I'm saying?
But it's got me prepped for my summer transfer window rundown. I'll just go back to that comment. Nick, 2 of my shouts, by the way.
I did. No, but dude, hold on a minute. I did give you credit, bro.
I'm joking.
But yeah, guys, big up as always. Yeah, listen, we're every single day as always, guys. We're doing transfer video probably tomorrow, and then building up to obviously Newcastle. I'm at the game as well on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, last home game of the season. Hopefully, win it on a high, bro.
I hope so. By the way, Rory, when you're making your debut for Gryffindor Quidditch team,
You what?
it looks like Josh is gone. I mean, I love the way I'm taking the piss out of someone's fashion. I dress like a 6-year-old man, but
Oh, it's the way I dress.
well, it's a t-shirt. It looks like you're on Gryffindor.
It's a jumper you got on, yeah.
It's the right
Okay,
colour.
who are they?
Wait, is that the Arsenal jumper?
Yeah, it's Arsenal.
Oh, that's actually a nice one, bro.
I actually quite
Yeah,
like it, to be fair.
but-
Despite it looking like Gryffindor Quidditch team.
Gryffindor Woolwich.
Won more trophies than Arsenal this
Bro,
season.
I need to quickly Google that. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
But guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everyone, and as always,